Good morning, guys. Going on my morning bagel run, but wanted to talk about stress today. So, when it comes to running a business, whether it's info product, whether it's drop shipping, it doesn't really matter. There is going to be a time where you're going to be in a high level of stress, right? Stress is inevitable. You can't avoid it. There are going to be stressful moments when running your business, but it's about how you deal with that level of stress, right? Because when I was running my business, and here's the thing, let me give you guys a story. So, when I used to run a social media marketing agency where I used to just do, I would just basically post on Instagram for businesses to help them grow, right? And Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, right? Basically posting on their socials, right? And at that time, I'm not gonna lie, this was back when Upwork was popping and it was pretty easy to get clientele. And I was doing this for some time, and I actually had about 6 clients at that time, but they're very low paying clients. They're only paying me like $300, right? Very low pay. But the thing that I noticed was I was getting really stressed out about results for the clients. And keep in mind, these are business owners, right? These are people who run actual businesses, and I'm just some kid who's trying to manage their social media, right? And every time I get in a call, I get anxious. Every time I would make a mistake, right? Sometimes I would make typos when it comes to the copy, and I'd be like, damn, like I'm not doing a good job, even though they felt like I was doing an all right job, they felt like I wasn't, right, and that was a huge thing that I was like, damn, right, and I would literally be stressed to the point where I would just like, I can't do this anymore, like I really couldn't do it anymore, and here's the thing, what is stress exactly, right? Stress is unanswered questions, bottled up. That's kind of what I realized stress is when there's something in the future that is unanswered and that you're trying to solve, and you're having issues with that in terms of how you're going to go about solving those problems that you have currently, right? So that's kind of what the issue was. Is I didn't want to resolve those issues, like how do I get my clients better results, how do I communicate better, how do I not get over the fear of them thinking I'm a horrible marketer. Those kind of fears really do kind of tap in, and um, that's kind of like what I was dealing with, right? So how did I deal with that stress? I shut down the business. I literally shut down my semi-successful marketing agency, which I literally started. And keep in mind, I always talk about mentors, but I literally paid a guy to teach me how to do it, and it worked. So I'm starting to realize that when you pay someone to teach you how to do something, it works. But anyways, the business worked, but internally I was extremely stressed out to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Even though I only was making like 1.3K per month from the business, um, I wasn't happy with the level of stress at that time, right? And I was like, okay, I'd rather just not do this business. So I literally closed all my clientele just to get away from the quote unquote stress that I had. But every business has stress, guys. Every business, you're going to deal with issues. Every business, there's going to be times where you don't know what the future is going to hold. But that's kind of how it is, guys. It's you. If you want to be successful in business, um, especially the higher up you go, the higher level of stress that you have, right? Like for example, right now I'm running a business that I'm spending quite a bit of money on ads, and now I have a pretty big team now, and obviously that adds a level of stress. But since I've started to learn that stress isn't that bad, and there's something called stress management, and realizing that whatever happens is going to happen, then you're fine, right? So that's kind of how you want to deal with it, guys. It sucks for sure, right? When you're going through it, I completely understand that. But if you are if you are understanding of what exactly you're doing, and you understand the ultimate goal of what you're trying to accomplish, it's not going to be that bad, guys. Trust me. I'm pretty sure you guys are running businesses, whether it's info products or SMMA, especially in the info product space. The thing with info products is you're selling high ticket, right? When you're selling high ticket, the customers that you have are expecting a lot of you, right? Because here's the thing: if they're spending 4 or 5K on your product, like they're gonna expect a lot, like from that product, and make sure it's actually good. For example, as if the product was like $20 or $30, like obviously even if it's crappy, they're not gonna complain as much, or they're not like you. Obviously, the product doesn't have to be that big of a concern. Obviously, the product has to be good, but there's a difference from a customer paying $30 versus a customer who's paying $3,000. That's a big difference, guys. And you got to make sure the product is A1, making sure it's the best possible product it can be for the customers, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, you're gonna be in a bad position, guys. You're gonna be in a really bad position, and you gotta make sure that it's good. So, going back to stress, guys, you're gonna have to learn to manage it. There's nothing else I can literally tell you in terms of how to manage it. The only thing you can really do is understand that that's part of the game and don't give up because of that. Because that's literally why I gave up on my SMA business, is the quote unquote stress that I had. I should have just grown it, learned from the mistakes, not be afraid of asking questions, to have those sort of questions answered, right? Because a lack of action causes stress as well. Because when you're not in motion, when you're not doing something, when you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing, you're gonna like start making some crazy mistakes, or just you're gonna start making some decisions of inaction. And inaction is the worst possible thing you can do to alleviate your problems, because your problems aren't gonna go away, guys. Your problems are not gonna go away. In fact, they're just gonna be amplified when you don't conquer them, right? So a big part of that is making sure whatever problems that you have or facing, making sure that you actually are attacking them, right? And that will kind of alleviate some of the stress and some of the issues that you're dealing with, right? And if you can do that, obviously there's going to be ups and downs, right? Some moments are going to be great, some moments are going to suck, but understanding that you're playing the long game, and whatever happens in the future, it's kind of unpredictable, but you can find a way to make it work, right? That's kind of the mindset you guys want to have. So please, don't be of the volition that um, just because it's stressful means it's bad. If anything, to make money, you kind of have to have stress, right? I mean, you kind of really avoid it. You literally cannot avoid stress. You can either be a stressful loser, or sorry, a non-stressful loser or a stressful winner, right? Most winners are stressed as in the day, and you kind of have to go through it. So, I mean, there's a pro and a con to everything that you do. But in terms of business, guys, that's kind of what I wanted to mention today. Um, that you know, the certain level of stress that you're gonna go through, but if you can find a way to break through it and understand how to manage it, you're gonna be totally fine. You're gonna be finer than ever, and actually, you're gonna wish that you did, because the last thing I want you to do is to give up, or say like I can't do this anymore because of your inability to manage stress. But also another thing is, like, it could be a genetic thing as well when it comes to stress management. Like, I know some people, like, when they're under duress, like, they panic and they go crazy and they start to worry and they can't sleep and they can't do anything, right? But there's other individuals who are very cool, calm, collected. It doesn't really matter what happens in their business, they still are very relaxed, right? So that's kind of where you want to be at. Be calm, understand the end. Always play with the end game in mind, right? Understand that this is a short term fear that you're going through, and this fear is just, like I said, it's not going to last forever. It's just something that's short term, and it can be fixed with some time. So that's kind of the big part that I wanted to share with you guys today. Is stress. It is what it is. Like, understand that it's part of the game. Understand that you can't avoid it. Understand that you're gonna have to learn how to manage it, right? And also, it's not bad. Stress is not bad at all. So if you guys are struggling, I understand what you guys are going through. Um, but yeah, so thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. About to get a bagel for myself, and get to grinding for today. So peace.